Yes, madam.
Okay. So welcome to ECCM 401, Measuring Customer Satisfaction. You already know my name. My name is Dr. Sheena Lovia Boateng, and I'll be taking you for this course. I presume you were all in the City Campus class for MKTG 403.
Yes, madam.
Good. So you heard me go through the requirements for the course, through the course description.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the description is very similar to this one, the same assessment parameters and everything else. It's just the assignments that will differ slightly. So you can obtain the course outline from Sakai and then go through it and familiarize yourself with the other requirements that I'm talking about. And then if you have any questions or concerns, you can direct them to me and then I'll address them accordingly. So we are going to go straight into the discussion that we have to do for our lecture today without going through the course outline. Please, are we all okay?
Yes, madam.
All right. So this is our first session for ECCM 401. And in this session, like I said, we will skip going through the general requirements of the course since I've already done that with you in the MKTG 403 class. So when you obtain the course outline, any differences that you see, especially with regard to the assignment, which you need clarification on, you can contact me and then I'll give you all the clarification that you need. So for this session, the learning outcome we hope to achieve by the end of the session is to be able to understand certain core concepts that underlie the area of measuring customer satisfaction. And we will specifically be looking at core concepts such as customer needs, customer experiences, customer expectations, as well as the concept of customer satisfaction and the importance of measuring customer satisfaction, which will answer the question, why measure customer satisfaction? So we'll get straight into the discussion of the core concept and we will start with customer needs. As usual, if you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand and then I will give you the opportunity and then you can speak. In the event that you go off the platform, you can reconnect and then I will admit you into the lecture. If I mention your name to answer a question or I mention your name to respond to a query and you do not respond by the third time I mention your name, I will assume you were not in class. If perchance you did not respond because you have challenge connecting or you're having connectivity issues, just indicate to me in the chat or post it on the WhatsApp page so that I will know that you're having challenges and then I will not penalize you for what is out of your control. So as usual, my assistant is here. She will take attendance. And while she is doing so, we will start with our discussion. So let's begin with customer needs. So a need is generally something that solves an actual or imaginary problem. So when you say you have a need, it is because you are feeling this sensation of wanting to solve something that has become a problem or a source of quandary for you. Now, this could either be imaginary, being that it is only in your thoughts and there's nothing that really exists currently that can solve that problem, or it's an actual and apparent problem that you have the means of finding a solution to. Now, once you have a need, what prompts you to want to go about finding a solution to this need is what we refer to as a motive. So without having a need, you will not have a motive to go about finding a solution to this need. Sorry about that. So like I was saying, without having a need, which you want to find a solution to, you will not be able to develop what we are referring to as a motive, because it is the motive that will lead you into taking the necessary steps and processes to obtain a product or service or idea or concept or whatever it is that you believe can help you to be able to solve this actual or imaginary problem that you have identified, which we refer to as a need. Now, before we move on, there's one thing that we need to know about customer needs, and that is the fact that customer needs are dynamic, meaning that they change ever so often. They do not stay static or remain the same for a long time. because the human is multifaceted and has several needs. Therefore, at any point in time, what a customer may want to solve an actual problem may be myriad, in the sense that he may not have one or two problems. He may have several problems. And that is why we talk about the fact that the customer need is dynamic, because it changes over time and it differs depending on the situation that the customer finds himself in. So in that vein, we can talk about the fact that customer needs also exist in a hierarchy. I believe you all took consumer behavior.
Yes, please.
Good. So you remember the fact that we were taught in consumer behavior about what is referred to as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do we remember?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so quick quiz. We'll go through Maslow's hierarchy of needs. How many levels are in the pyramid?
5.
5. Good. So starting from the bottom of the hierarchy to the top, what do we have at the bottommost part of the hierarchy? Gina Kumsin.
Madam, physiological needs.
Pardon? Gina.
Physiological needs.
Physiological
Yes,
needs. Okay.
Yeah.
Please, is she correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So after physiological needs, what needs do we have next? After physiological, what comes next?
Am I still answering, please?
No, Gina, not you. After physiological, what comes next? Thank you, Gina. Well done. So physiological needs are the base of the pyramid, followed by Dabra Yusuf. What comes after physiological?
Safety needs.
Safety needs. Good. Now, after safety needs, is it Dembele? Is that your name? Dembele, is that your name? Dembele, speak up. I can't hear you. Is that your name? So please use your correct name as is recognized by the University of Ghana. I said this some time back. So you have to exit and come back with your correct name, okay? All right, thank you so much. So in the absence of Al Hassan, Foster, tell us, after physiological and safety needs, what comes next?
Social needs.
Social needs, good. Now after social needs, Frederica Ando, what comes next?
Madam, please, self-esteem needs.
Good. Then after self-esteem, we have the apex of the pyramid, the very tippy top. What comes there? Abdallah, tell us.
Actualization.
Good. Self-actualization. Good. So we realize that based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, depending on the level at which the customer has reached, their needs differ. So for instance, if a customer was at the physiological stage, what are some of the needs that the customer would have? Patience. Patience Bonzi. Patience Bonzi.
Madam.
So if someone is at a physiological stage, what are some of the needs that they would have?
Water, food, the physical needs.
Good.
Clothing and all that.
So water, food, clothing, good. Right? So at that level in the hierarchy, these are the needs that are important to the person. So we realize that it will be very different from someone who is at, say, perhaps the self-esteem level of the hierarchy, who will be caring more about issues that have to do with prestige, right? And feelings of accomplishment. This tells us that depending on the level that the customer is at, as we have established, their needs will vary vastly. And the customer has to be able to determine what exactly will best suit these needs. And to be able to do that, they go on a search, which is fueled largely by the motive to satisfy this need. So that tells us that the hierarchy of needs is very relevant in terms of understanding the dynamic nature of customer needs and how, as marketers, we can be able to identify and satisfy these needs profitably. However, in relation to the dynamism of customer needs and the fact that customer needs exist in a hierarchy, we need to appreciate the fact that because of this dynamic nature where the needs are multifaceted and are changing over time and are so vastly different depending on the level of the hierarchy that the customer is at, customer needs can never be fully satisfied. Does it make sense?
Yes, please.
Yes, madam.
Why are we saying so? Why can customer needs never be fully satisfied? Derek Arthur, please tell us. Derek Arthur, tell us, why can customer needs never be fully satisfied? Derek Arthur, this is the third time I'm mentioning your name. The next time I mention it, it means you're not in class because ghosting is tantamount to absence. Derek Arthur. Okay, so Derek Arthur is not in class. Loretta, Derek Arthur is absent. Kindly note that for me. Okay. So Foster, why are we saying that customer needs can never be fully satisfied?
Okay. Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
I think in reality, satisfaction is equal to expectation, and then the performance.
Okay, hold on. No. I want you to explain it in terms of what we just discussed. Explain it in terms of the characteristics of customer needs.
Okay. Since there is an hierarchy of needs, as you have mentioned, and with the physiological needs, the customer always wants more. Okay, so it's very, very difficult to satisfy the customer with the myriad of needs that the customer wants.
Good.
In terms of the physiological, going to the safety, sociological, they always want more. So that's what.
Good. Exactly. Thank you, Foster. Right? So with what Foster has helped us to summarize right now, we appreciate that customer needs can never be fully satisfied. However, the fact that customer needs can never be fully satisfied does not mean that the marketer cannot aim to satisfy these needs. Because successful marketing hinges on the ability of a firm to properly identify and satisfy customer needs. Therefore, as marketers, we owe it to ourselves to be able to ensure that we have measures put in place to help us to at least identify some of these needs, which are within the purview of the product or service that we offer, and put in place measures to satisfy these needs and do so profitably so that we can stay in business. So in essence, if we want to succeed, we need to do our best to properly identify customer needs that are within the purview of the product or service that we offer, and then satisfy these needs, ensuring that they get satisfied so that we can be able to earn our profit and achieve whatever marketing objectives we have set for ourselves as a firm. And that is it for customer needs. Moving on, the next thing we are going to talk about are customer experiences. Now, customer experiences vary greatly in terms of the knowledge that customers have when it comes to different products and services that can satisfy their needs. Remember, we talked about the fact that once a customer identifies a need, they now have a motive to go in search of a product or service to satisfy this need. Now, how they are able to go in search of this product or service and even know which product or service to go after depends largely on their experiences. And we are saying that these experiences are made up of knowledge that the consumer has gathered about a particular product or service. And there are several ways by which consumers gather this knowledge, bearing in mind that this knowledge is not gathered at one point in time. It is gathered over time from multiple sources in multiple settings and scenarios. So let's look at some of the means by which customers come by this knowledge of products and services that we refer to as experiences. The first one is ad exposure. A customer may not have purchased the product before or know anybody who has purchased it or even heard of a product before. However, through advertising, firms are able to create awareness for various products and services, such that even if the consumer has not physically bought the product, touched it, or used it, because of the information that they were able to assimilate from the adverts that were done, they can be able to tell you about the product based on the knowledge that they gained by being exposed to that advert. So for instance, I have never used Tabia mixture before, but the advert is always all over the place, such that I now know Tabia mixture exists, and I know some of the diseases that Tabia mixture can heal as a result of the advert that I saw. Please, does it make sense?
Yes, please.
Good. So ad exposure is one of the main means by which customers come by these experiences. Next, we can talk about interactions with salespeople. Again, a customer may not necessarily have purchased the product or used it before, or even know anybody who has purchased the product. But by interacting with the people who are involved daily in selling the product, they can be able to learn much about the product, its characteristics, and the kinds of needs that the product can help satisfy. So you realize that people don't necessarily go outright to make purchases. They sometimes like to consult salespeople to get their opinions. Let's take, for instance, someone wanting to buy a car. He may not go outright to buy a car. He may decide to go from showroom to showroom, talking to the different salespeople to be able to understand what is on offer, what is available, and the quality that they can get for the budgets that they have to spend. And by the time they finish, even if they do not have enough money to buy the car, they would have learned a lot about cars and the potential cars that they can buy within certain budgetary constraints. Please, do we all understand?
Yes, madam.
Okay, so that is it for interactions with salespeople. Next, we can talk about information from friends or the media. And here, this is as a result of us interacting with our friends on a daily basis, observing our friends using certain products, or perhaps just engaging in brand conversations within brand communities on platforms like social media, where we interact and chat with other people who may be friends or family or relatives, or sometimes total strangers who we have come into contact with as a result of belonging to the same brand community or social media platform. And here, through the exchange of information and experiences, like we saw in the discussion that we had in our electronic marketing essentials class, you get to be able to interact. And this interaction brings about shared experiences. So people will tell you about experiences that they have had with products and services that they have consumed. And by so doing, you will, by extension, gain knowledge about these products and services without actually having to use or consume them yourself. Next, we can talk about previous decision making. And here, previous decision making refers to a decision that you were trying to make in the past that involved a search for information. So you may not necessarily have actually gone on to buy the product and use it, but through the process of deciding to buy or not buy that product, or consume or not consume that service, you had to go on a search for information to be able to know more about that product or service that you were attempting to purchase and consume. So in doing so, you come by a lot of information that you store in your mind as knowledge. In the event that in future you decide to purchase the said product or service again, you can fall back on these experiences and knowledge to help you make an informed decision. So that is it for previous decision making. So far, does anyone have any question they want to ask?
No.
Okay. Moving on. Now, remember we talked about the fact that in previous decision making, you may not have ended up buying the product and actually using it. However, in the events that you actually buy the product and use it, through using it or through consuming the service, you get to learn more about the product. Because let's face it, there's a Ghanaian saying that goes like, it's not even a Ghanaian saying, it's a general saying. The proof of the pudding is in the, complete it for me. The proof of the pudding is in the
Eating.
good.
Eating.
Good. So you may have been seeing the product around, being told about people's experiences, so you have a certain extent of knowledge about it. But it does not compare to the experience you will have or the amount of knowledge you will gain from actually consuming the product or service yourself. So product usage is another very important means by which customers are able to create experiences for products and services that they hope will be able to satisfy the needs that they have. Finally, we can also talk about memory. It's not enough for you to be able to have all this knowledge. You should be able to have this knowledge stored in your memory. How many types of memory do we have? Consumer behavior scholars. How many types of memory do we have? Abna Samoa.
Please, 2.
Name them.
Short term and long term.
Good. So you know how both of these memories operate and how they are able to guide consumer decision making. So having these knowledge experiences are very important to be kept in memory, such that when the need arises for you to solve a particular problem, you will have this knowledge stored in memory that you can be able to fall on to help you make a better informed choice of which product or service is best suited to satisfy your needs. And with that, we've come to an understanding of experiences and how we are able to gather knowledge that helps us to create these experiences. And with experiences, we are able to sift through and appreciate better the kinds of products and services that can help us to satisfy the customer needs that we discussed prior to this. So now that we understand customer needs and experiences, what in actual fact are customer expectations? Customer expectations of a product or service emanates directly from the need that the customer has and the experiences that they have had. We established that the need tells us about a problem that we have to solve. An experience tells us about potential products or services that can solve that problem. And as a result of the potential products and services that, based on our experiences, we believe can solve that problem, we have some level of knowledge about the performance of these products and how they can help us satisfy this need. And because of this knowledge we have about these products and services and the manner in which they should help us satisfy this need, we come into every consumption experience with certain expectations. So expectations in essence are a product of the needs that we have and the experiences that we have gathered regarding the products and services that can satisfy these needs and how they can satisfy them. So in essence, customer expectations can be defined as the product or service that the customer would like to receive and the anticipated circumstances of the purchase. Product or service you would like to receive in the sense that your experiences tell you that the product has to come in a particular shape, form, or size for it to be able to satisfy this particular need that you have. Anticipated circumstances of the purchase in the sense that your experiences tell you that when you are purchasing this product or service, these are the circumstances that must surround it. So for instance, if you want to go and buy a car, to be able to satisfy your need of getting you perhaps from campus to your lecture hall in a convenient manner, What are some of the anticipated circumstances of the purchase? What are some circumstances you anticipate will come up when you decide to buy a car or when you are trying to buy a car?
Madam, the cost.
Can come up?
The cost.
The cost, yes. So you have a fair idea the price range at which the car should come. Good. What else?
The size.
The size of the car.
Yes.
Okay, so all these are in line. So the size of the car is the product you would actually like to receive, right? So
Yes.
you will be looking at what sizes of cars do we have?
Mileage.
Big.
We have saloon, we have SUV,
Okay,
we have trucks.
can we have some order? So if you want to speak, like we did in our previous sessions, just show your hand. I'll give you the opportunity and you have the floor. Okay, so Yusuf, go ahead.
We have saloon, we have SUV, we have trucks.
Good. So these are all part of the product or service that you would like to receive. You are expecting to see all these options on the market for you to choose from. Good, Yusuf. Patience. Other circumstances.
Madam, we can also talk about durability.
Yeah.
And fuel consumption.
Good. So these are all anticipated circumstances, right? Okay. So now let's move away from the physical product itself, right? Let's move away from the 4 P's. Let's go into the 7 P's. Anticipated circumstances. So let's look at it in terms of people, processes, and physical evidence. What are some of the processes involved in buying a car? Processes. Let's say you are buying a home use car. Abna Samwa try.
Madam, please. Firstly, the papers, the car, the processing. If you are getting the home use car, you need to get the papers.
Good. To be sure
For
that
the
it has
car.
been good. To be sure that it has been properly cleared from the port. The one who is selling you the car is the actual owner. Stuff like that. Good, Abna. Yusuf, your hand is still up. You want to come in?
Hello?
Yeah, Yusuf. Your
Yes,
hand is
ma'am.
up, or you are okay?
I'm okay.
Okay, then you have to lower your hand.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Okay. So yes, checking the papers, right? You would also want to take it for a test drive through a bus. Yeah, to be able to see if the car drives well, and you will perhaps even go with your mechanic. So that while you are driving, he'll be helping you check whether the steering is moving fine. And then he may perhaps even open the hood and check under the car to be able to see that the engine and everything else is in good condition. These are all anticipated circumstances around the purchase. And they come together to form the customer's expectations. So if the customer's expectations are not met, the marketer will find himself in trouble. Because it is only by meeting these expectations that you can make the customer happy. So sometimes expectations form the basis for which we determine customer satisfaction. Without expectations, we have no yardstick by which we are going to measure whether a customer is satisfied or not. And because of that, there's a whole theory that explains customer satisfaction, which is built around the concept of expectations. And it's called the expectation disconfirmation theory, also known as the customer satisfaction theory by Oliver. We will learn about it subsequently in one of our upcoming lectures. Please, are we okay?
Yes, please.
So it is important that firms strive to understand the expectations of their customers. Because if you know what they expect, you can translate these expectations into requirements that you have to meet in order to make them happy. So expectations are a core part, in fact, the foundation of customer satisfaction, and how firms can adequately and appropriately measure customer satisfaction in order to ensure that customers are kept satisfied. Please, are we okay?
Yes, madam.
So that's for how many concepts have we discussed? That's why, how many concepts have we discussed? Yeah, Derek, speak up. Derek, you need to speak up. We cannot hear you at all. Derek.
Madam, so far we've discussed 3 concepts.
Okay, kindly name them.
Customer needs, customer experience, and customer expectations.
Okay, and what did we say about customer expectations?
The customer expectations are based of their are gotten based on their experiences of what they are to expect from the products.
Good.
Yes,
So,
and once the company knows that and meets those expectations, then they get close to satisfying the customer.
Good job. Well done, Derek. So Loretta, Derek is actually in class. He was having connectivity issues earlier, so please take note. All right, Derek, well done.
Yes, please.
Okay, so now we understand customer expectations, customer experiences, and then customer needs and how they influence each other. So as a firm, given that we have understood that we need to understand customer expectations in order to meet them adequately to keep our customers satisfied, we need to ask ourselves, how do we gain an understanding of what our customers expect? And we are about to do so. The first way we can gain a deeper understanding of customer expectations is by ensuring that customer feedback is designed to reveal information on their expectations, as well as the value that they have received from the products and services that they have purchased from us. Why are we saying feedback and perceived value? Feedback because if your customer does not tell you what their experience was like consuming your product or service, you will not be able to know how they feel about it, whether good or bad. And on several occasions, I have consumed services where the service provider or the manufacturer of the product has never cared to find out for me if the product that I purchased from them was to my requirements. And in instances where I was not happy, I just basically took my business elsewhere because nobody cared to ask. And forever, that service provider or product manufacturer will never know the reason why I decided to stop buying from them and take my business elsewhere. And that is because they failed to seek my feedback. Please, does it make sense?
Yes, please.
Good.
Yes.
Now, perceived value also because by getting their feedback, you will get to know whether they see any value in what you are offering them. And perceived value is very important because customers will only pay for that which they believe will bring them some kind of value. I don't believe anybody will spend money on trash. Would you?
Not at all.
Exactly. So perceived value is very important because if the customer does not find what you are offering them valuable, they will not be willing to part with their money to get that product or service from you. So understanding customer expectations is very important for firms, and we can gain a deeper understanding of their expectations by having them give us good feedback and also gauging the level of value that they perceive that they have received from the product or service that we have offered them. Once we are able to do this, we will be able to understand to a large extent what their expectations were and whether or not those expectations have been met. Another way we can understand customer expectations is by understanding the role of other parties which might affect their satisfaction. Why are we saying this? Other parties play a role in creating experiences, as we have just learned. By interacting with other parties like friends, partners, delivery people who bring them the items, God knows on several occasions, I have actually had conversations with the delivery persons who deliver items to me about the service provider that they work for and how people express their sentiments regarding the products or service that they are buying from them. So we need to understand the parties that deal with our customers and interact with them and the kind of information that they share and exchange with them, so that we can be able to a large extent, appreciate the expectations that they have. Remember in MKTG 403, we talked about the fact that when customers interact, information is exchanged. Do you remember?
Yes, madam.
Good. And that
Yes,
information, the firm can be able to obtain to help them serve them better. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. So this is based on that principle. We need to observe our customers and how they interact with other parties, the information they get from other parties, to be able to understand how these parties help to shape their perceptions and expectations, so that we can be able to understand how best to satisfy them. Also, we need to understand how the customers intend to use or deploy the product or service. Because bear in mind that customers have different needs, like we established in the beginning. So that means you may have one product that can be able to meet different needs depending on how you develop and design your product. So for example, I know some people who do not eat ketchup because there's sugar in it. But other people, apart from the fact that they don't eat it, still buy ketchup because they use it to clean jewelry. Who has done that thing before? Who has tried using ketchup to clean their jewelry before?
Not me.
Yeah, some people use ketchup to clean jewelry. Okay, a more popular one. Some people use toothpaste to brush their teeth.
Yeah.
Other people also use it to clean their jewelry.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
It's because of an ingredient in it. Is it bicarbonates of soda or something like that?
The soda portion. It
Good.
makes it.
Good. So we need us as marketers to understand how customers intend to use or deploy the product or service that we offer them. Once we understand how they intend to deploy it, it will influence to a large extent how we put the product together. It can influence everything from the product design to the product formulation to even the product packaging. Because you realize that toothpaste that is designed to be sold to children is different from toothpaste that is designed to be sold to adults. Do you know that?
Yes.
Yes. Even in terms of the formulation of the toothpaste itself, the packaging, everything.
Yes.
Good. And that is a typical representation of how, when marketers understand how customers intend to use or deploy a product or service, it influences how they satisfy them, because then they understand what their expectations are. And finally, to be able to understand customer expectations, we need to understand their different abilities and needs. Recently, I have realized that marketers have started to include Braille as part of packaging. Do you know what Braille is?
Yes,
No.
please.
The one the blind people use. So
Good. So you buy certain packages and there are elements of Braille on it. If you are not sensitive to it or you are not aware, you will not know. But for those of us who are aware, when we pick the product and we feel it, we see that, okay, so this is for the blind people. The position strategic dots and texture on different parts of the packaging, that when the blind person takes and feels, they can be able to tell what product it is and what it does. The more recent one I have seen is, I bought a box of matches and there's a Braille symbol at the back for fire. So when I saw it and I touched it, I said, this is a Braille symbol for fire. What is it doing here? And I realized here, matches. So they are telling the blind people that, okay, so this thing you are holding is for fire. And that comes from understanding of different customer abilities. Because you know that you are designing a generic product, but it is not only one type of customer that will buy it and use it. So by understanding the different abilities of the prospective customers who would buy and use the product, you know what each of them will expect. And by so doing, you can come closer towards satisfying their needs. Please, do we understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So now that we have understood customer expectations and customer experiences and customer needs and how we can understand customer expectations, we need to ask ourselves the question, what is customer satisfaction? So customer satisfaction is basically a judgment or an opinion that is expressed by the customer concerning a particular product or service that they have consumed. So you can only measure satisfaction accurately from a customer who has actually consumed the product. Please, are you with me?
Yes.
Good. So it is not enough for the person to be buying the product. They have to actually buy the product and consume it as well. And remember, I mentioned the fact that expectations form the basis of how we judge customer satisfaction. Do you remember?
Yes.
So based on that, here we are saying that the degree of satisfaction that a customer expresses for a product or service, or with a product or service, is determined by the gap between their expectations of the product or service and their perceptions of what they have actually consumed by consuming the product or service.
Yes.
Along with the circumstances surrounding the consumption, right? Which usually have to do with organizational aspects of the consumption process. So whether or not you were satisfied with the car that you bought has to do with the expectations that you had in the beginning. In the beginning, your expectations were that perhaps the SUV will be a better car because of the size of family that you have and because of the money that you had to spend. But after you bought it and actually drove it around for some time, you realized that perhaps the car was too big for you. And then maybe you could have spent the money buying a better car of a smaller size. Or it may not have had to do with the actual product, but perhaps the organizational aspects surrounding the product. For instance, the car you bought, you are happy with it. You are okay with the money you spent on it. However, you wish you had perhaps bought it from a licensed dealer who will offer you after-sales service. Are you with me?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So here, the customer satisfaction is not being determined fully by the product or service. We are saying that customer satisfaction is determined in part by the product or service that they consume and their perceptions of the consumption, as well as other factors surrounding the purchase and consumption, including organizational aspects like we have just discussed. For instance, the car is okay, the amount you spent on it is okay, you are happy with the driving experience, but you wish you had bought it from a licensed dealer who would have given you after-sales service or 5-year warranty. Please, are you with me?
Yeah. Yes.
So now do we
Yes,
understand what customer satisfaction is about?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So knowing what we know now, what are the benefits of measuring customer satisfaction? We can talk about the fact that keeping customers is profitable. I don't know if you've learned about this term. I first learned about it in Principles of Marketing, that it costs more to attract a new customer than to retain an existing one. Have you heard that saying before?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Good. It's actually a fact in marketing literature. So it is profitable for a firm to be able to keep its existing customers than to always go in search of new ones. This is because when you are able to serve the existing customers well, it becomes very easy for them to, one, recommend you to other people. So they will do the selling for you. They will start looking for other customers for you, which saves you the money, the time, and the effort of going in search of your own customers, of new customers, sorry. And as you get to know the customers better, it becomes easier to serve them. So in the beginning, it may have taken so much resources to understand and serve the customers because they were new to you and you didn't know much about them. But over time, when you get to know them for who they are, you spend less resources serving them because you know exactly what they want and you know how they want it. Also, it is very easy for you to do what we call upselling and cross-selling. Cross-selling is where you have existing customers and you want to sell them something new. Will it be hard or easy to sell existing customers something?
It will be easy.
To be easy. Because you know them and they know you. You have established that trust. So you can easily sell them something new. Whereas it will be more difficult to sell something new you are producing to a totally new customer, because you have to go through several hurdles to convince them of the quality of what you are selling them. At the same time, too, it is easier for you to upsell to an existing customer. Upselling means charging a premium price for a similar product that you are already selling to them. Why will it be easy to upsell to an existing customer? Yes, Abdullah, come in.
Yeah, because they already know your product and they trust you.
Exactly, they trust you. So they know even if they have to pay a bit more, they are still getting quality. So that, in a nutshell, is why it is important to measure customer satisfaction, because it helps you to remain profitable over time. And keeping customers is profitable. So that's benefit one of measuring customer satisfaction. Next, we can talk about the fact that satisfied customers are more likely to stay. If your customers are unhappy, they are always looking for the next best option. True or false?
True.
Good. So you need to keep them happy so that they will not be looking elsewhere. And even if they are not looking elsewhere and competitors come at them with competitive offerings that purportedly offer better value, they will not fall for the trick, because they have come to know and expect a certain level of quality from you. So they will stay loyal, because they know that come what may, you will always give them the best. And this explains why many organizations that are experienced in customer satisfaction measurement say that it is only top box scores on performance that are acceptable. Because it's not enough for you to perform subpar or mid-par. Because if you perform subpar or mid-par level, you leave room for other competitors to come in and wow your customers with something new. And with that, you risk losing them. So measuring customer satisfaction is important, so that you can ensure that at any point in time, you know what your customers are looking for, and you can give them the best quality for what they are looking for. That way, they will always be satisfied and happy, and they will remain loyal to you. Please, does it make sense?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Now, one of the main reasons why this is important is exhibited in this model that I'm about to show you by Hesketh et al. Now, this model talks about the satisfaction loyalty link and expresses the benefits of keeping your customers satisfied at the highest level. Now, looking at the diagram, you can see that we have two axes, right? The loyalty axis and then the satisfaction axis. Now, you realize that the more satisfied a customer is, the more they move up towards what we refer to as the zone of affection. And once they are deep in the zone of affection, they become apostles for your brand, meaning that they will talk about your brand everywhere, recommend it to everybody, advocate for your brand. If people are talking negative, they will be able to fight for your brand. However, if they are at the mid to lower levels of the curve, where we can see that they move from the zone of indifference all the way to this negative zone, which is referred to as the zone of terrorism, you realize that an unhappy customer becomes a terror to your brand.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever they see your brand, they will say every negative thing that they know about it. Even if someone is saying something positive, they will come in and debunk what the person is saying and share their negative experiences and make sure that they win. Who has experienced something like that before?
Me, I've done some before.
Thank you. EcoBank used to suffer that thing on Twitter a lot.
Yes, me too. I've bashed them before.
The customers became a terror because they were offering subpar service, right?
I still bash them.
So you what they have to do in terms of measuring customer satisfaction. Because if they were measuring, they will know that you are still bashing.
Yes.
So that they will change their ways and do their best to keep you satisfied so that you can move closer towards becoming an apostle. So this diagram in a nutshell tells us why we have to measure customer satisfaction, period. Because if we don't know where our customers are, whether they are terrorists to us or they are apostles to us, then we are doomed. So that tells us in a nutshell why satisfied customers are more likely to stay and stay loyal. And it also tells us the dark side and the dangers of not keeping them loyal to us. Foster, come in. I see your hand is up.
I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
And my question is that, is it possible to pull all your customers to the apostle to be apostles?
No. You will always have some customers that regardless of what you do for them, they will not be happy. And it stems from what we talked about in the beginning with regard to customer needs. Remember the characteristics of customer needs?
Yes.
Remember, what did we say? They are dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
They exist in a hierarchy, remember?
Yeah. Never
And they
fully
can
satisfied.
never be what? Good.
Fully satisfied.
Good. So you will always have the terrorists and you will always have the apostles. But your aim is to have more apostles than what? Terrorists.
Terrorists.
So first, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, madam.
Good. All right, so moving on to the benefits of measuring customer satisfaction. The third one we can talk about is the fact that you can't manage what you don't measure. Like we just talked about in the EcoBank scenario. If they were measuring customer satisfaction, they will know that customers are still not happy. And they'll be able to know some of the reasons why customers are not happy, to be able to put in place the necessary measures to make these customers at least come out of the zone of terrorism to perhaps a zone of indifference. So we need to be able to measure in order to know what we have to manage. Because if you do not know where you are coming from and where you are at the moment and the situation that you find yourself in, you will not know how to be able to move forward. So you can't manage what you don't measure. And then fourth, we can talk about the fact that it is not just enough to measure. And throughout this course, we will learn how to measure as well as take decisions based on what we have measured. Once you measure, you have to take action because measurement produces information. And information is useless unless it is put into action. So customer satisfaction measurement moves hand in hand with actions relating to improving the problem areas that were identified after the measurement process was complete. So once you have done the measurement, you have to use it in decision making and commit resources to be able to ensure that where the business falls short, where the brand falls short, where the product or the service falls short, you are putting in place the necessary measures to ensure that you rectify those issues so that you can be able to keep your customers happy. Even if at some points they were dissatisfied, by identifying what makes them dissatisfied and doing something about it, you can be sure that over time, they would move closer and closer into a zone of becoming more satisfied. And that is why from measurement, we have to go to action. We can't just measure, get results, and shelve them. We have to take action based on the results that we get from measuring customer satisfaction. And with that, we've come to the end of the session. Wow, we did good. It's exactly 12 p.m.
Yes.
Any questions?
Not. I have. I don't know if it's a concern or a question or a contribution.
Okay, you can share. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, like we were complaining about the terrorists and the apostles of an organization.
Yes.
The reason why they exist in the first place is not fully understood by me, even though it might be relating to the customer experiences over the years or the expectation. And
good. It's a myriad of factors.
Yes, myriad of factors. But I don't know if there's a possibility of correcting such issues. For example, I will set EcoBank as my main target again.
Yeah.
I think my brother initially was the one who created an account with them from I think 2007, 2006 there.
Yeah.
And then by 2008, 2009, he's angry that they take all his money, no messages. He doesn't understand how the money vanishes.
Yeah.
And looking at the current situation of banking sector too in the country, they are moving to digitalizing the banking sector, paperless banking.
Yeah.
But whenever he goes to his EcoBank branch, it's loads of papers.
Yeah.
So he gets frustrated, and then he transferred those frustration on me. I also go there the same time. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Even though after several complaints and even threat to actually close down the accounts, those things are not ratified till date.
Yeah.
In most of their branches in the northern region here, especially. Okay. So I feel even though the organization is not putting in measures or they are not fully tracking those reactions and then understanding those concerns to actually try to rectify or minimize them.
Yeah.
That falls on the organization, even though it's more like they take it for granted.
Exactly, I was about to say that.
So depending on the type of customer that reacts before they take action, if it was probably one of their key account customers.
No, you're talking.
Maybe somebody like was the name, the vice
so
president.
You realize based on what you're saying that some organizations have priority areas.
Yes.
But some organizations, they are concerned with keeping everybody happy.
Yeah.
Some organizations, they know that they can't make everybody happy, so they pick and choose their battles.
Yeah.
So it depends on the organization you are dealing with, what their priorities are, and what they believe should be is worth investing their resources in.
Yeah, but still, the same organization, even though they don't show concern about those people who come and make little deposits. They will be the same people chasing you down to actually create accounts with them.
EcoBank is a multinational bank.
They treat you the same way.
EcoBank is a multinational bank, and the people who chase you, bear in mind, are the relationship managers and the tellers who want to meet their targets.
Okay.
So sometimes, so sometimes it is not about the small money you are bringing, it's about having the numbers.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's good that you shared, Abdallah. So you see, these are some of the issues that come to the fore. As a marketer, you need to know the organization that you are in. And then whatever targets they give you, you develop strategies to be able to help achieve those targets and objectives. So when in marketing management, we teach marketing planning. And in e-marketing, you will learn about an e-marketing plan. We will learn about the fact that the e-marketing plan fits as part of the company's general marketing plan, which also fits under the company's general strategic plan. Are you with me?
Yes.
So if the strategic plan is not focusing on individual customers, but a strategic plan has it that we are prioritizing our key accounts, then the marketing plan will be to develop a marketing strategy to ensure that key accounts are always happy, which will then trickle down to what, do you get it?
Yes.
So it's so instead of a bottom-up approach, it's more of a top-down approach when it comes to planning and strategy implementation. And that's where the challenge is.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, Abdullah. Derek, your hand is up. Kindly go ahead.
Madam, please, I wanted to know if the customer's expectation sometimes can be unreal to the point that it may affect the satisfaction of the goods purchased.
To some extent, okay, in some scenarios, we have that. But then in that instance, the organization cannot blame themselves because it means it's the customer that is delusional.
Okay.
Because, for instance, it's like walking into a car dealership with 1,000 Ghana cedis and saying you want to buy a car. Clearly, your expectations exceed what you are looking for or trying to purchase. Are you with me?
Yes, please.
And in this case, the organization cannot do anything about it. You can go online and bash them as much as you want, but they can't do anything about it because your expectations are outrageous.
Okay.
And this thing often happens in several scenarios. When you find out that someone may go into a boutique and buy a certain outfit and they expect the outfit to last forever. So they wear the dress, they wash it once, twice, 3 times. The dress maybe falls apart or looks very worn and tired. And then they want to go back to the boutique and collect their money. Who has experienced that before? Anyone experienced something like that before?
I think the
Yes,
one
please, but with phone. But with phone. Someone purchased the used phone. And within some few weeks, it got spoiled. And then he wanted to return it.
Good. This is an outrageous expectation because already you are buying a used phone. So you know the life expectancy has already been cut short by a number of years. So thank you for sharing. That's